Hey everyone, it is Kellen Brauer here from RacerX, back again with another race examination, this time from Glendale, where we're going to pay attention to Zach Osborne's wild night of racing in the Triple Crown. Gets the whole shot in the first main event, but on the second lap of the race, he tucks the front wheel out front, damages his handlebars, and has to DNF this race. Very unfortunate fall there, just got the wheel a little too high in the berm as he was trying to cut down, got off balance, and fell. So moving on to the second main event, in this first turn melee that Adam Cianciarulo kind of outbraked himself and plowed into Justin Bogle, Osborne was on the outside of that, got pushed all the way into the barriers, and down he goes. But because the red flag came out, he got a bit of a mulligan, which he used to finish 11th in the second main event after struggling with a bad start. Now on to the third main event, some more first turn chaos. Osborne again getting pushed out and going down. Justin Hill's bike laying on top of him there. What a night for Osborne. Just couldn't get any worse, could it? Oh, well, I feel like it could, because he actually left the track and then the red flag came out after Curtis Blows had a brutal crash. Hopefully he gets better soon. But the red flag, like I said, does come back out. So Osborne comes back into the stadium and tries to restart this final race one more time. He comes through in about 5th in the first corner. And then going into the second corner, Eli Tomac actually has this weird moment where he kind of like runs into him and then falls, but Osborne able to skate away. Doesn't last long, though, as on the second lap of the race, Blake Baggett goes for a pass. Osborne kind of slides in and gets hung up on him. Just a brutal night, and unfortunately for him, it kind of got worse. So if you remember in this first crash, he actually went back to the pits, and here is how Osborne tells his side of the story.
I had gone down in the first turn, it ripped my brake pedal off, my bike was all bent up, so I just went to go back to the pits, but I stopped at the asterisk thing because my arm was kind of iffy, and so they took my transponder and everything, and then when they red flagged it, I was feeling a little bit better, and, you know, I was like, I'll just try to go and do something for points. Well, then, yeah, I lined up. I asked Tooley. I made it to the gate, like, right before the card went up, and I asked Tooley, like, hey, can I go? And he said yes, and then I guess someone said something about it.
Yeah, you can't do that, Zacho. Unfortunately, Article 4-15J of the rulebook, a motorcycle that leaves the stadium floor or infield of a speedway during a race will not be permitted to return to the racetrack. So Osborne was, in effect, disqualified from the race, as you see in the rulebook here. Rider number 16 disqualified for leaving the racetrack and returning. But there's even more. Remember this first start in the main event when he actually got the whole shot? He led for basically a lap. Here he is crossing the finish line jump in first, and you would think that that credits him with the lead, but if we move forward a little bit further in the lap, remember he doesn't actually complete a full lap as he crashes right here on the second lap and everybody skirts around him. Now here's what's weird about this. Ken Roczen takes over the lead right here. You'll notice he holds off Eli Tomac and holds onto the race lead for the entire rest of the main event. But for some reason, Eli Tomac is credited with leading the first lap of the race, as you see here. Roczen led every lap after that, but Tomac on the 3 with a lap led. The only thing that we've been able to surmise is that Osborne, who never actually completed a full lap, was excluded from the results, and Tomac was given a lap led in the race, even though he never actually led the race at any point in time. Very, very strange. All in all, there's Tomac with the lap led alongside Roczen's 12 from the first race, and it led to Osborne finishing up on 18th on the night with 22, 11, 22 scores. Brutal night for Zacho, and very unfortunate, all the different circumstances he had to deal with. Now, I also wanted to talk about this main event start, the second main event start where Cianciarulo drove in deep and hit Bogle, and why this ended up being kind of as brutal as it was. If we re-look at it in slow motion, I want to point out something here. To see Jason Anderson in the middle here, he's pretty even with Cianciarulo, and if we look at his elbow right here as I slow it down, you'll notice that he chops the throttle right there, and we're still going maybe another 10, 15 feet before Cianciarulo's elbow also kind of moves as well, which again is chopping the throttle, getting on the brakes. Cianciarulo definitely driving it in deep, but you also notice Bogle kind of sweeping in from the outside. It was kind of a worst case scenario for both sides, where Cianciarulo was coming in too hot. Bogle was trying to sweep in and take the whole shot, which he thought he may have, and they make contact, and unfortunately Bogle hits the ground hard on that basically concrete dirt on the outside of the track there and gets knocked out. Bogle going to be out for this weekend as well, so that's just unfortunate to see all the way around. And lastly, in this 250 main event, just want to point out in the second main here, Austin Forkner busting out this quad, which was a difference maker all night long. Look at that, Forkner still tripling in out of the corner after making that block pass. This was huge in the 250 class because not everybody in the field was getting it. It was really just kind of like Forkner. Ferrandis was pretty consistent with it. Justin Cooper did it on occasion. Christian Craig, when he was still in the race, was doing it. And it was a big difference maker because these guys were able to make passes before they got to the whoops, which is where the other passing opportunity was. And they could get a bit of a gap established and maybe even pull away in the whoops instead of having to focus on making the pass like Forkner did here. Just one of the things to kind of pay attention to in this class where these guys can get bigger lines sometimes than their counterparts. And in the end, it did help Forkner on his way to his second victory of the season, going 1-1-3 on the night and moving himself back to just 10 points down in the championship. And that's just a couple talking points here that we're discussing from Glendale.